Hello, everyone. This is Duran's Healing, and welcome to tonight's Healing Circle. For those of you who are new here, welcome to my channel, where I provide weekly energetic updates for the collective. And as I began to blaze this fire tonight, gather around and contribute your very powerful energy. Whether it be a like, a share, subscribe, or a comment below to let me know how these messages are showing up in your world. And with that being said, let's jump right into the stones. And the message that's speaking the loudest is coming from your spirit guides, your ancestor team, or your higher team, and it's landing itself in the mineral. And what I can see here is that the healing that you've done is making its way down. Yeah, because a platform of power here is sitting on top of your water healing stone. You see, this lets me know that the healing that you've done has anchored you, but anchored you in a very profound way. More so that you're like a floating anchor, being unstoppable, weighted down by the metal. It's like the deepest healing that you've done most recently is making you literally quite powerful, unmovable, unshakable in the realm of community, in the realm of the people around you, because that's who's feeling it the most. They're beneficiaries of your healing, right or left, good or bad. But in a good way, I'm seeing that it may make people feel a bad way or feel a way because of the way you're moving. You're changing things. What I'm getting here in this download is that some of you in the collective has successfully overcame or successfully healed a part of you that has shifted the way you move, the way you think, the way you show up in community, in your family dynamic. I can see this energy moving throughout the cosmos so powerfully because this thread of consciousness here is starting to split off. But I can see the degree of separation. It's almost as if there is a frequential difference from this thread to the next thread, and they're sitting on top of each other. And what I'm downloading here is that some of you may have a split in your reality, or you may have split up from people in your reality very abruptly is what it appears to them. However, for you, because you have been healing and because you've been overcoming this healing stone, I'm not sure what it is, it's like it has shifted your energy, making you that much more conscious about who and what you interact with on one end. But on the other end, I'm seeing is that this healing energy has radically shifted your frequency. As you approach the community, as you approach the people around you from this new and improved healing space, it's as if you're not radiating on the same vibration anymore. Things that were once comfortable for you may not be as comfortable now, is what I'm gathering. There's a difference here, and that is the bottom or the outside layer of this thread of consciousness that I'm picking up on. And I would like to read into both of them. There is an outer layer thread and there's an inner layer thread. And I would like to dive into the outer layer, which speaks mostly to the external factor, speaking mostly to the interactions surrounding people. And I can see that the first download that I read about this split and separation has to do with the way you're organizing yourself from coming off of this healing process. Organizing yourself in the way you move. You're taking a very serious approach in this matter, because what I'm getting is things are serious now. Things are more real for you now, that something about the way you've organized yourself, something in this shifted your perspective, something in the healing. I can see that it was deep. People are going to have to move around this new and improved energy that you're embodying. You're no longer shortchanging yourself. You're no longer making people comfortable, not in the sense you're going around terrorizing the community, but more so about you standing your ground. Now that you've made it to the other side, you have gained a certain level of action. You have moved beyond just the intellectualizing of it. Now you're stepping into a space where you're starting to move. You're starting to organize yourself in a way that you're making sound decisions from what you have gained through this healing process. You said what you said and you meant it. People may try to do the same things that they once did. What I'm getting is people knew how to sweet talk you. People knew how to say certain things to get you to move in a certain way, maybe for their own benefit. I'm not particularly sure, but something about the words or you having a compassionate heart that allowed you to move in a way that was suitable or meeting the demands of the higher group. I'm not sure, but that's what I'm gathering. But now that you're made it through this hump, you're not operating in that way. So now you're starting to see this sweet talking or this movement of the words that people used to do to you or would typically do towards you. You're starting to see the veil behind it. You're starting to see the interwoven web behind their intent, because you have healed. So your vision is a little bit more clear surrounding people's intention by way of their frequency of their words. Oh, you're starting to see through the veils. And quite uniquely, your genius is showing up here in this thread. It's like your intuition. The scientist within you has finally put on its lab coat now that you've healed. Looking at things through a microscope, surveillancing people's frequency to get down to the root of their intent. And it's not like you're even making this known. This is like a quiet thing you're stepping into. You're making your hypothesis. You're taking note is what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing a notepad. It's like you're documenting these energies around you energetically. And you're making a mental note now that you've crossed over this hump to see exactly what you were involved in this interwoven web. Even in your family system, even in your friendship group, it's like you have awakened to the truth, and now you're taking the proper steps before you fully step forth in community. That is why your sophistication is kicking in. That is why you're more like a scientist in a lab, communicating and conversing with people, but you're putting it under a scope. In order for you to dissect and really get down to the bottom of why the bonds in the community around you are the way that they are. You see, there may be some version of dysfunction, some versions of distortion in your world that spawned you on this healing journey. And now that you've made it on the other side, you're carrying a proper lens to see what is the source of this distortion, why it even spawned you into this healing process. You're getting down to the bottom of what is really causing the challenges or this misfunction or dysfunction in the community around you. That is what's going on this external thread of consciousness here. And right above it, there's another thread here, but I can tell that it's about the frequency that you're processing, or you have processed because you have healed. It's like I'm seeing like a ripple effect or the residue. You know when Clorox is around because you can smell it. There is a strong potency of energy that is rippling through your healing process, or because of what you have healed. You've healed something very deep within you. There is a deep wound that you have healed. But like a war soldier or someone coming from war, it's like you're checking your pulses and realizing the war is over, but I'm still alive. But there's this bandage on you from a wound that you have gained throughout the process. And you're taking this bandage off to see where the wound came from, to see how much you have healed, to see if there's anything else that needs to be medicated or cleaned up before you fully take your steps out into community. And what you're realizing is that the bandage is able to come off now. The wound is no longer open. The war is over, and you're sitting in the frequencies of what you just endured. And what this looks like in the real world is that you may be in the space where you're recovering the newer version of yourself. Now that you're back, now that you've came home to yourself, and you're realizing that you need a new hairdo, you need a new makeover, you need to put on fresh clothes, you need to get your energy anew and merge back into the frequency that is being birthed out. You still may not be in the space where you're totally socializing with people. What I'm seeing is a makeover for some of you. Some of you may be buying new clothes at this time. Some of you may be changing your hair, trying new things in your household. Something about you acclimating yourself to the frequencies that you're coming out of. That's what I'm getting in this inside message from this current thread of consciousness here. But there is this lingering obstacle stone that wants to kick in and have something to say. But before I get into this obstacle, I want to see what this healing that some of you in the collective have just went through or just overcame. So at this time, I would like to pull some cards to see what this healing or this water stone is about. What is this water stone that is showing up in the collective at this time? And the cards that came out were pick up energy, space, solace within, stories of humanity, grandmother, and clarity. And what I'm downloading here is that some of you had picked up energies from the very people around you. But this is all types of energy is what I'm downloading. And this picking up of energy, almost as if you are this sponge, the spiritual sponge absorbing energies around you. But something here in the collective pickup that I'm seeing is that some of you picked up some very harsh energies, picked up some very difficult things in your frequency. And it sent you into space. But this space that I'm gathering here is inside of yourself. It forced you within. It forced you to remove yourself from society, from interacting with people, because you met the capacity of what you could take. And it forced you to go within in order for you to find solace. But in order for you to do that, you had to process all of these energies that you had picked up and put it in its rightful place to figure out the stories of humanity. That's what you were doing. You figured out it was much bigger than you. It was much more than you just feeling angry or feeling heavy or feeling overwhelmed. What your spiritual energy was doing was collecting and hoarding all of these different frequencies around you, because the sophistication of your energy have the wherewithal to process it. And your processing comes with decoding the stories that were written within inside of these energies. I know this is complex, so this is very interesting. And what you have found in your process is that you found something about your family system that was orbiting itself over and over again. And as you stayed within, you came to a resolution. You came down to the purest essence of its inception and why it started. Not only that, it goes even to the friendships around you. You were picking up energies, not knowing that there was a story behind the stories that they were telling you, behind the stories you were listening to and communing with your friends. And little did you know, there was a depth there that you had to process. You did not know that it went this deep. That is what I'm gathering. You did not know that your energy was this sophisticated. You knew that you were a sensitive person. You knew that you came with a level of depth, but you did not know that you were a spiritual sponge, hoarding in all of these energies around you, squeezing it out, so that you can get to the very thing that it was built on. That's what I'm getting with this humanity word. The base of it. Grandmother came out. What I'm gathering here is that this is about the ancientness of these stories, the ancestrals wording or the ancestral calling of the very people around you. And in order for them to get the message, they were sending ripples and energies to you or through the cosmos. And because you were the most sensitive one, because your frequency was so high due to your spiritual path, you were the designated one to process the energies of the very peoples and things around you. And you went within, not knowing why you were feeling all discombobulated. But as you processed and healed your energetic body, you started to hear the stories of the connections and the bonds you built. And you realize that, people are really struggling. People have problems in their world. And now you are the one to decode the very thing that other people's ancestors, other people's spirit guides were trying to communicate with them. That's one message here that I'm picking up in the cards. But another message that I'm downloading here is a lot more personal, is what I'm gathering. Some of you were healing wounds that were in your history. Grandmother, I'm getting some of you may have challenges with a grandmother, or your grandmother at this time has presented to you that she inherited a wound that you took note of. Something here about you being the one to heal the feminine energy that is running through your family's generation is what I'm gathering. And something here about a grandmother. I don't know if some of you in the collective are struggling with this or having something come up about this, but what I'm gathering here is that there is a wound that you, whether you're masculine or a feminine, are healed or have healed, but it's by way of your grandmother. She could only take it but so far. And being that you are the spiritual one to be able to process and to download and to have the frequency strong enough to hear the words moving throughout the stories that she may have told you or are telling you, or maybe not telling you for those of you who are in no contact is what I'm picking up on. Either way, the frequencies in the cards are suggesting you have the capacity to heal or have healed this ancestral or generational wound that came through the feminine energies from the heritage above, from the lineage above. And no matter which energy you picked up on or resonated with, it's about clarity. That is what the healing that you have done is bringing you or have brought you. Clarity, a new perspective, a new insight about who you are and what you're truly involved in. The bonds that you create, the energies that you're around, the insight now that you have processed, now that you have squeezed the water out of this sponge. But this squeezing is more about you processing and releasing these frequencies from your energetic body. You can release. Standing in a space of recovery, gaining a whole new perspective about the insight you have gained. Now you're moving different. Game on. That's what I'm getting. It's game on now. Period. Very interesting message that I just picked up or channeled from these cards. And if it resonated with you, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, or comment below to let me know how these messages are showing up in your world. And with that being said, I want to continue down this thread of consciousness because it's landing in the fire. And I want to see what the other world has to say about these energies. And jumping back into the stones, we're going to land with the earth stone. Your identity, you finding a new home for yourself, or you stepping into this new energy for yourself. But next to this is the doll that's representing you, showing face up in the fire. Next to your path of clarity, next to your devotion stone. And what I'm downloading here is that you've been called to the principal office. That's why this energy or this doll that represents you is face up. Spiritually, energetically, you're still dwelling in the realm of the spirit. You may not have fully made yourself out or brought yourself out into community just yet. There is like this preparation stage before you make your way out. However, where I can see you're in the principal's office in the realm of the spirit. And they're saying that there's no way that they're going to allow you or your dream not to be fulfilled. There is a spiritual investment in your stock, in your energetic stock, in you, in the fulfillment of your dreams. So this partially makes sense why you went on or had to go through this healing process, so that you can gain a deeper clarity surrounding your dreams, your intuitions, your vision, because that is what your spirit is devoted to. That is what the other world is devoted to. Bringing that out into the paradigm, which means your frequency has to be at a certain level in order for it to dispense your dream out into the world around you. And it's preparing for that. It's ready for that. That's why your spirit guides have you in the principal office to let you know energetically to get yourself ready. However, there is another story here about communicating or merging yourself with the realm of spirit. Is also a part of you communicating your circumstances that you're going through. And what I picked up in the cards is that you've inherited a lot of energies in the world around you. You may not have known, but a part of your healing lets you know you need to be more careful with your energy due to the sensitivity of its nature. And now that you're aware, conversations with the other world or your spirit guides about the circumstances that you're becoming conscious of will behoove you. A part of you being in the principal office is not only downloading and listening to the information, it's also you being the authoritator of your own life and communicating your experiences. And this shows up by the way you move. Yes, your dreams are important. Yes, your dreams and intuitive downloads must come through this paradigm. However, there are things that you must process and heal through in order for that to come out. That is what this conversation that is going on in this other world that I'm picking up on. It's very interesting. And a part of this is so interesting what I'm gathering here. So your path of clarity is right next to your doll, but it's from the shoulder down to the doll's feet. But the head is at the home front. And what I'm gathering here is that some of you in the collective are learning how to lend your body to the spirit to have this frequential conversation. Yes, I'm speaking about it to give you all an illustration of the energies moving so you can understand the capacity of what you're in. However, all of this is intangible. You don't see it. And you are learning, for those of you in the collective, and what I'm seeing here is you're learning to have this conversation with the realm of spirit, processing, downloading, and communicating with the other world by lending your body to the spirit, allowing these energies to move through you, allowing yourself to feel away if you need to feel away, because you know on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, it's communication. Communicating all of these frequencies between one dimension to the next. But at your head, you know where home is. You're not lost out here. You're very clear about where you are and what you're doing. That's the beauty in it all. Very powerful message that I'm picking up here. But this obstacle stone is still chiming in, having something to say. This obstacle stone is showing up here, but it's connected to a circling thread of consciousness that is in close proximity to the thread that I've already processed at the beginning. It's on its own unique thread, but there's something here about these energies picking up on one another by proximity, and the obstacle is the closest shield to that from one thread to the other. But what I'm downloading here in this circling thread of consciousness that the obstacle stone wants to speak to starts off with your second ancestor stone, and it's saying that it's time to come home. It's time to come home back to yourself. And the snake vertebrae is showing up here, suggesting that some of you may have dwelled in your home so much, dealing with all of these energies and frequencies, not necessarily knowing what's going on with you. However, something in your energy is making you anew, or getting rid of the old, like shedding old skin, just like a snake. Getting rid of things now that you have healed, now that you have overcame all of these processing mechanisms that you went through in order to gain the stories. Now that you have the information, it's almost as if you're looking for a fresh start in your energy. And the second ancestor stone is here confirming that, circling this message that says the information that you've gained has given you access to what truly grounds a community, to what truly grounds a village. And it has to do with gaining the insight of what restricts the bonds from making the connections. And now that you have the wherewithal, now that you have the information, this circling energy is opening up for you to come out and convey the information that you have gained to the world around you. But the obstacle stone is showing up right at the cuffs of this release of information. Why is it here? I don't know, but this obstacle stone was quite the intrusive person while I was processing the other information. So I would like to give this stone a little bit of attention to see what this obstacle is about from you releasing this newfound information, this newfound energy to the paradigm around you. There's something here that's holding you back or holding this energy in this preparation phase or this recovery phase. What is this obstacle about for the collective? And in terms of this obstacle, the cards that came out were energy vampires, illusions, healing trauma, serving your higher purpose, militant, and pressure. And what I'm downloading is that this obstacle is speaking to the very thing that some of you are healing from. Oh, see, that's why it's in proximity of that thread of consciousness that I was picking up on. Some of you may have healed from or are healing from energy vampires, illusions. Coming to terms with the very theme that was pulling on your energy. Though you were picking up energy, at the same time, it was draining your energies. The very thing that you saw, there was a veil in front of your eyes. Living in a world where you did not know that there was another world behind it. What I'm gathering here is that some of you were in contact with people that may have used your energy as a source of vitality, as a source of like an energetic hydration is what I'm gathering here, and not replenishing you at the same time. That's why vampire came out, only to take, only to get from you. And because your energy is so sensitive and so giving, this is very detrimental, or was detrimental to you. Illusions came out. What I'm seeing is that some of you may have been inside of a matrix within your family system. I'm picking up on something about you may have had an inkling of the dysfunction or the chaos of growing up in your family system, but you could not quite put your finger on what it was. There was an illusion there. There was someone or something creating the fog or this veil for you not to fully see the truth. But your energy was keen enough to pick up on it. But now that you're healing or have gone through this healing space, or this truth that came out about the vampires around you, the illusions that you were in, has spawned you on this healing journey, giving you a very clear picture of what was really going on, a very clear picture on who you were really in association with. And now that you've came to terms with this, you have healed a degree of trauma that you experienced from the people draining and creating the illusions around you. You did not know you were wounded by this. You did not know you were impacted on a deeper level by this. It's like it has kept your energy to a certain frequential level, because you picked up on it, but you cannot see through the lens of it. It's almost like you're driving in heavy rain. Like you cannot see through the windshield. At some point, you have to pull over and stop for your own safety. And you pulled over and stopped for your own energetic safety. Splitting. Getting a whiff of information about the vampires and the illusions around you. But now the rain has stopped and you can see very clearly to drive forward down to your destination. You're realizing you're here to serve a higher purpose. You have always known there was something going on. You've always picked up on it in your energy, in your frequency. But now that you have healed, Now that you have gained a certain level of insight about the situations and the obstacles in your world, the militancy is rising. The heat is rising, not to create a catastrophe, but to move in a certain vibration, to let the energies around you know, I know what I'm involved in and who I'm involved with. And now this pressure is upon you to move in a higher way. Something about your movement, navigating around the illusions and the vampires around you in a very methodical way to not blow up the spot, bringing light to a very treacherous storm. And that pressure is on you. You feel that, and you're trying to maneuver yourself for what's to come and how you're going to deliver this message. How are you going to maneuver yourself around these energies so you don't step on an atomic bomb? You're very methodical right now, but you can see the light of day. You can see your purpose. And at the end of it all, you're going to serve a higher purpose, because that is what you're here for. Very large message here in the cars. Thank you all for joining me in tonight's healing circle. And with that being said, I would like to take this time to come down to close out tonight's healing circle. And I will see you all at the next.